Hey YouTube, today I want to talk about using magnets to retain knives in sheaths and build on the what I talked about last time. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I'm a bit of a fan of using magnets to retain knives in neck sheaths. This is the Schrade SCH5FN, SCHF5N. It's the 1095 carbon steel blade that I worked on in the last video. I like the way that the magnets provide good retention but allow much smoother withdrawal of the knife from the sheath, because magnets they shear quite well. They are able to slide past, or they allow metal to slide over it quite easily. So this works really well. I also worked on the Enzo NECA 70, which I think is a good improvement on the original. It just gives it that bit more retention to improve safety. The question I had after the last video was, could I use this for a larger knife, something like this Glock FM78? Let me tell you, if you're new to the Glock brand or you haven't seen much about it, let me just show you a couple of things about it. I think they're great knives. The sheath is the same kind of nylon polymer that they use in the pistols. And Glock made knives and trenching tools quite some time before they made handguns. That was the first product they made. And this nylon polymer, it might have undergone some improvements, but essentially it was born when they made these knives as a lightweight alternative to some of the plastics. Good thick steel spine, completely indestructible. I can't help doing this because I just love showing off sharpness of knives. This is only a 20 degrees on either side of the blade, and it's plenty sharp. So even if your Glock doesn't come super sharp, because it's been well prepared and well ground, it's not too hard to get the final edge. I think Glocks are great knives. I think the sheath is good, I think the handle's good, I think the blade's great. There is one thing that I don't particularly like about the Glock knife, and that is this clip here. Now, don't get me wrong, the clip works really, really well. In terms of doing its job, which is to retain the knife in the sheath, it absolutely works really well. There's no way this thing is coming out accidentally. I guess for a soldier that is an absolutely great thing. You don't want to lose your knife. But for me, and for many people, using a knife in the woods, in the garden, in the workshop, actually I want better access to the knife. So what I've done, and I've got two Glocks here. Here's the one that hasn't been touched. It's absolutely pretty much as per the original Glock. The other Glock I have, though, I have done a treatment on, and I'm showing you this in advance, and I'll show you how I actually did it. So what I've got here is the standard Glock knife, exactly the same as this one, except what I've done is remove the plastic clip. I have applied or fitted a total of 6 magnets to this knife. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just show you what this does. Here is the knife. You can see it's quite happy being suspended vertically, so you can imagine that being worn on the belt normally is absolutely fine as well. Just to show you kind of what it will take in terms of weight. Here is a G-clamp I've been using for work. It weighs about 750 grams, and I don't know if you can see the whole thing here, but if I lift this up, you probably can't see the whole knife there, but the sheath, the knife is still retained in the sheath just. I think any more than this, in fact, if I give it a little shake, it starts to move. Compared to the way the knife works without any, the way it comes normally without the clip, it's way better. You can see that, just as you know, the Glock knife comes out of the sheath when it's unretained, very, very easily. Let me just talk about these magnets that I've got. There are loads of different types of magnets that you can buy, as you can imagine. These are neodymiummagnets. They are small, high power, they are triple coated. I think there's a nickel, copper and nickel coating, so they're reasonably well protected. That's not to say they should be used in harsh environments like salt water and that, but for most applications they're going to be fairly robust. There are loads of different types and shapes and sizes. I ordered these and I've made these work for this application. Starting with the untouched knife, the first thing you do is to measure the mark, or apply the marks for drilling on the spine of the sheath. If you follow the same design as I have, the spine always needs to go. When I say the spine, the square edge of the knife needs to go along the same side of the sheath every time. As you know, if you have a Glock knife, these can go into the sheath either way. There are recesses on both sides. So the first thing to do is to actually take the knife out of the sheath, and if you look at the blade of the knife, you'll see that the spine tapers towards the tip. So I think it's best to put the magnets where the spine is at its fullest. But you'll want to make marks, you want to position the magnets between where my thumb is here and where the hilt is up here. So the first thing to do is to mark that first position on the sheath using a pen. Here's a Sharpie, and just mark this here. The drill should match the size of the magnets. These are 4mm in diameter and they're 4mm long. I think that's probably the maximum size you want if you're going to put magnets into the sheath itself. If you were gluing a magnet onto the sheath and you could do that, then you've got much more flexibility. The next tool tip I'd recommend is to use an awl, AWL. I find the Swiss Army knife awl to be really, really good. Once you've marked these three things, just do that. Then that's 7 centimeters, so 3.5 there. I make 3 marks here, one in the middle there, one there. Basically, just use the awl to put an impression exactly where you want the drill to go. Dig it in a bit, don't go too far. It doesn't take that much to get through this sheath, so just make an impression. And then what I did was use a clamp or a couple of clamps to secure the sheath to a table. If you have a vise, great, use that, but not everyone has a vise. And you can actually achieve a fairly good result just using a couple of G clamps. That kind of setup will give you a good enough hold for making these holes in the sheath, which don't require a great deal of effort. The drill will go through that nylon polymer really easily. Just be very careful when you are holding the drill that you don't go too far down and that you keep the drill vertical. So just make sure you get a good kind of position. Maybe standing up's better, and just make sure that when you start drilling that, you don't go too far down and that you don't wiggle it around. It's easy if you're standing above, and if you've already made a start hole with the awl, then there's much reduced chance of the drill points slipping on this material. It will actually tend to go straight in. I'm just making a mark 5mm up from the end of this, so that I've got I can draw a horizontal line across to show the line which will mark the diameters of the two holes at this part of the sheath. Straight edge to join these two holes. I'm going to measure 8mm in from either edge. So there's my 2 holes for the front of the sheath. These are these little magnets. This is a screw, but here's the magnet here. It's 4mm long rod, 4mm diameter, and I'm just going to start, as I say, at the far end, so I can see what's going on inside the sheath. That was a bit too much glue there. That's gone slightly too far in that magnet, so I'm just going to push this out slightly. As long as the knife is fully into the sheath, you'll be able to apply that pressure, the upwards pressure on the outside of the sheath, to make sure that the magnets are at the right height, just to touch the blade. So those 3 magnets are all at the right height now. It's slightly more tricky with the 4th one because the plastic here is thicker than it is here, so this magnet has to go slightly further in. So that is it. That's it completed. What remains to be done now is just a final wipe with acetone to remove any of the excess super glue that might have spilled onto the outside of the sheath. There's a wee bit here. Of course, I don't want to dissolve the glue that's already in these holes. This is 24 hours after I fitted the magnets to the second Glock. I want to show you what the results are. Now, I've made a couple of changes. Oh, that's not one of them. Come on, bounce, you go down. I've made a couple of changes. This is the first knife I made, and I added 2 more magnets to this part of the sheath. So there was 3 when I did it yesterday, and there's now 5, 6, 7, 8 in total. But there were 6 yesterday. Now, for some reason, this is slightly stronger. Oh, let me talk about the other change as well. That black material, which covers each of those magnets, and there as well, is this stuff, Milli Putt. It's a 2-part epoxy putty. I just wanted to keep the magnets protected and keep them secure. You just mix it together and then push it on, and you can smooth it off with a wet finger. But this knife, for some reason, is slightly stronger than the other one, and I'm really pleased with this. I cannot shake this out very easily. Okay, it does come out at that point, but it's actually very well retained by the sheath still. So as it goes down, it's obviously still in contact with some of the magnets. Even to this point, it's not dropping out. I think it needs about 4 magnets to support it. So, really pleased with that. That is going to be absolutely perfect for wearing both vertically and obviously on the belt. There's absolutely no chance that's going to get lost on a belt. There's no more chance than any other knife that will get lost. But also around a campfire, when one is sort of more stationary and moving perhaps less vigorously, then there's that's going to be perfect. The other knife, and the one I did yesterday, I say it's slightly less strong from a shaking point of view. However, it gives me absolutely enough confidence in its retention when it's worn in the vertical position. I want to show you what weight it can take. There's that, I suppose, is the acid test. This is a 4-inch G-clamp, and I've just weighed it, and it's just shy of a kilo. It's 900 grams. So if I apply the pressure gently, this knife, and I know you can't see it, so you'll just have to trust me, but you can, honestly. The knife is not moving out of the sheath at all when it's balanced carefully in here. I think any more than 900 grams, in fact if I just give it a slight shake, it does drop down. So what I would take from that is that the minimum weight you can get from putting these really very small magnets in here, 4mm long by 4mm in diameter, rod magnets, by having 5, 6, 7, 8, the minimum weight you'll be able to carry is about 900 grams, and that I think is absolutely adequate for what I want it for actually wearing in a stationary kind of camp situation. There you go, that's what it looks like. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, please leave them below.